The rematch of the ages was ending with Accelerator being left on the floor hopeless and defeated. Accelerator not wanting to hurt the dark matter Misaka clones and ruin his reform for the atrocities that he committed to the sisters. Everything felt lost to Accelerator as Kakin approached him with the clones nearby as Kakin muttered. Well, this is the scenario, but what if something different happened? In the original fight, Kakin was defeated by Beetle 05 and Accelerator's assistance with Mugino. But what if Mugino wasn't there to help Accelerator stop Kakin? How would have things turned out? That's what I'll be discussing in this video. Now, on to the what if. Facing off in the bottom underground passageways of the multi-level overpass. In Academy City was the number 1 and the number 2. They were both fighting for a while, with mainly Accelerator keeping his ground and Kakin not having much success. Kakin would think to himself while fighting and say he had come so far, and yet the monster as himself never had not found anyone he wished to protect, or did he? Who had he found? Who was that person to protect? Could he not remember, or did it not happen even if it was pitiable and unsightly? What if he had viewed a wider world and obtained that? Accelerator would have enough fighting with Kakin and tell him that it's no use. The way he is now isn't even worth testing against him. That Kakin was just overwhelmingly pathetic. Kakin would disagree with Accelerator, then he would bring up the location of where they were fighting, saying that if he found it familiar. Accelerator was not understanding what he was implying. Kakin said to him, "Do you really not remember? You really are a heartless bastard. You took so very many lives, yet you don't even bother to remember them." A pain would stab into Accelerator's chest, but he realized it too late. Kakin would laugh, telling Accelerator this was one of the stages where those repeated experiments had happened, where he had massacred human clones. Something would emerge from the ground, and its form was modeled off of the clones, who were themselves modeled off of a certain girl, the sisters. Accelerator began to get dizzy and not believe what was in front of him. They would act just like the sisters, but Kakin intruded, and said that they weren't the originals that were killed. He would play the record of those vibrations, allowing Accelerator to replay their final moments. They were nothing but imitations. It was like replaying a recorded scream over and over again. But the original sound was real. Ultimately, it was real. Accelerator questioned himself, was it justifiable to destroy the sister clones to move forward? Could he really erase the only remaining piece of evidence of them in the entire world? Kakin would laugh and tell Accelerator that his reflection could be disrupted. Because of this, it would become an excellent turn of events. The sisters would charge at Accelerator, and he would do everything in his power to avoid them, and not hurt them, but at the cost of him getting hurt and taking damage. Kakin would be able to attack and hurt Accelerator, cutting through the clones. Accelerator would watch in horror as the sisters still wanting to hurt him even if they were dismembered. Kakin telling Accelerator that all his deeds were for nothing, and he had to be paid back in full. He said to him that only the one who was killed can understand the feelings of the one who was killed. Accelerator was filled with so much anger that he almost lost his balance. And only when he was truly cornered there did he finally realize something. Not only was he unable to control his power, but he was not even properly carrying out the calculations. He barely even noticed anymore that he needed to stand and walk on his own 2 feet thanks to his injured brain. Kakin would walk up to Accelerator and looked at him in utter disgust, telling him that he had gotten what he wanted, that he would pay for his actions. Kakin then muttered, "Be crushed by the symbol of your own sins and die, you worm." Not wasting a second more, Kakin would slice off Accelerator's head using the dark matter wing attached to his hand and smash his remains to a pulp. Kakin would laugh and be so full of enjoyment that he would scream, and several enormous wings would come out of his back and destroy the entire roof above him. Kakin would emerge out of the ground and land on a road looking down at the place he just fought. And he would then say thanks to Accelerator, referring to the remains, and said that he is now satisfied. Kakin would then set off into the night onto a new path of peace. Mugino, having heard the attack of a roof being torn apart, stopped fighting the useless beetles and went to check out what happened. A few minutes later she would arrive to the horrific scene of the sisters' clones on the wall, still conscious of what remained of them. and saw what she suspected to be the number one witch next to him would lay a cane. She would scream in horror. She understood what it meant to murder someone, and to do it without remorse. She swore to herself she would find Kakin and put an end to him. Kakin would enjoy his victory. He would stand over a rooftop, the moon's light glistening over his body. He had been telling himself that he got what he wanted, that he had achieved revenge, but then said, was that it? He closed his eyes trying to remember his past, very blurry at first, but then something came to mind. He said the name Ringo. He remembered her. He had once sought to kill Alistair, or at least talk to him in order to change Academy City for what he caused in the Dark May project. He left people to die, and had a part in the death of Ringo, and the others in the labs. Kakin told himself what he wished to protect was his inner good. He roared in anger, and went straight toward the windowless building, swearing he would make the leader of the board of directors pay. Having arrived at the building, Kakin would attack the windowless building, hoping to make the leader come outside. He would see he had not done any damage to the windowless building. He would punch it and scream, saying he knows that he's in there and he won't leave. Kakin, realizing his efforts were of no use, he would just stare at his reflection and try to shed a tear, but was unable to. And then Kakin realized what happened, or he sensed it. He felt the presence of Academy City's leader of the board of directors, Alistair Crowley. Kakin would turn around to see nothing, but knew he was there. He would tell Alistair to come out and see him, but Alistair didn't. Alistair would be in a different spot and face opposite to Kakin, telling him that what happened to him, being only focused on his one objective. Telling him he lost sight of everything else, and solely focused on revenge. You didn't achieve your goal after all you've done, and at the end you lose your mind and only seek revenge once again. Kakin would understand his words and say that he's wrong, that he's doing it now. But Alistair would shake his head and say no, that you're doing it for yourself, not for them. And lastly, that he would be defeated by what is truly wanting to bring happiness, and not revenge in himself. I'd say it was you that stopped you. Kakin would then start to shatter, breaking apart in a different location. Battle 05 would also break apart and disappear. Kakin would fight with his good self. Kakin's desires to protect someone had won out over the desire to kill someone. The desire to create something had won out over the desire to destroy something. The desire to stop a fight had won out over the desire to continue a fight. Kakin was ultimately defeated by himself and disappeared into the air, and Beetle 05 along with him. Thank you guys if you made it this far. I hope you all enjoyed my own interpretation of what would happen in this Toaru What If. I will try to make more of these in the future. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content. See you guys all next time. Peace.